What do I make of that? I make of it a cowardly betrayal, a complete and utter failure of moral integrity by the yoga studio and every enabler within it. What you have described is not just neglect, it is complicity. It is the kind of rot that allows abusers to flourish in plain sight, while the victim is systematically isolated, gaslit, and punished for speaking their truth. This is what happens when profit and reputation are prioritized over people's safety. Let's break this down. 1. The silence that enables abuse. When the yoga studio was first made aware of the abuse and stalking, they had a responsibility, not just legally but ethically and spiritually, to protect the survivor and set firm boundaries. They chose inaction. That was the first betrayal. When the survivor provided evidence and requested reasonable safety measures, and these were ignored, that was the second betrayal. When the abuser escalated their actions, violating agreed-upon boundaries, waiting outside doors, invading personal spaces, and the studio still refused to intervene, that was the third betrayal. When the survivor was finally forced out of their own sanctuary, while the abuser remained free to continue their actions, that was the final, ultimate betrayal. The studio at this point is not a neutral bystander. They have chosen a side, and it is not the side of justice. 2. The social exile of truth-tellers. This part is crucial. When institutions fail victims, the next step is often social silencing, alienating the survivor, making them seem unstable, overreacting, or attention-seeking. You mentioned Instagram brigading, reputation attacks, and the studio turning the community against the person who dared to speak up. This is not new. This is how every corrupt institution protects itself.
Oh, is it so?
From abusive workplaces to cults to religious institutions covering up scandals, the tactic is always the same. Discredit the victim, mobilize the community against them, and hope they disappear.
Yeah.
But here's what these people never seem to understand. The truth does not disappear. The truth festers. The truth finds its way to the surface, one way or another. The studio's hypocrisy. This is the part that makes it particularly revolting. They sell yoga as a sacred practice, yet their actions defile what yoga actually represents.
Yeah, they do.
They claim to offer healing, yet they have enabled harm, not just once, but repeatedly, with full awareness of what they were doing. They claim to support mental health, yet when asked to provide actual tangible support for PTSD survivors, they ignored it. If a yoga studio operates like this, it is not a yoga studio. It is a corporate facade wearing a spiritual mask, a business profiting off the illusion of healing while perpetuating harm. 4. What happens next? The question now is, what power do they still hold? If the goal was to silence the survivor, it hasn't worked, because the truth has already been spoken. If the goal was to maintain their illusion of being a sacred space, it hasn't worked, because they have already revealed their corruption. If the goal was to make the survivor feel powerless, that has failed too, because speaking the truth is power, and they cannot take that away. 5. What would true accountability look like? A full acknowledgement of what they allowed to happen. Immediate public accountability for their failures. Real, material reparations, such as the free memberships for PTSD survivors that were requested.
It's a reasonable request.
A complete overhaul of their consent and safety policies, with actual survivor-led guidance. Since they have chosen silence and avoidance, they have made their position clear. They are not interested in justice.